What's up, guys? It's Graham from Velo Baseball. Today we're going to talk about something that can be particularly daunting and frustrating for most athletes. We're going to get into goal setting and some strategies that you can employ to create really effective and actionable goals. So, why do we set goals? Why are they important? And why don't we just do it? Goals help us begin each day with the end in mind. They help us get a sense of direction, help you focus on aspects of your training that are most relevant to achieving your goals, and they can help you stay motivated when you're feeling tired or unmotivated. So why don't we use them more often? Goals are inherently hard to set because there are many unknowns with things that we haven't done before. You have to consider how much time it will take, the method of getting there, and specifically whether you could select a more efficient goal or method. Instead of thinking about goal setting as a singular thing to achieve, like getting a scholarship, it should be thought of as designing a process which can guide you to achieve something that you want. So this means that you should set broader long-term goals and then set the intermediary steps or process goals that help you work towards the end result. Ultimately, if your approach is too rigid, you always find it difficult to set these goals. The most important thing to keep in mind when you're setting goals is to just start. Know that it won't be perfect, but if you make a commitment and revise your goals on a regular basis, this should allow you to adjust your timelines and methods. And as you get a better sense of what it takes, you can make that process a lot more refined. So now that we've gone over the framework for creating goals, we'll now look at some strategies to make your goals as effective as possible. The best way to do this is by setting SMART goals. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So the first thing to consider is specificity. Making a goal specific makes it feel tangible and real. There is a target to achieve, something that provides you a clear process to follow and milestones to hit. For example, you shouldn't just say, well, I want to throw harder. Okay, so did you accomplish that goal if you threw 1 mile an hour harder, 3, or 10? Additionally, you want to consider the method by which you want to achieve that goal. Is it off the mound, on a shuffle throw? Is it on a pull down? Or are we referring to a specific plyo drill? So these goals should also be measurable. Think about what you need to track your progress. You'll need a radar gun or access to one if you're going to increase your throwing velocity. So no matter what you're tracking, you'll need to consider which metrics you'll want to track. You also want to keep track of the progress you've made because it keeps you accountable, it can be motivating, and you also can't hide from those numbers. The next thing to consider is whether or not it's attainable. An attainable goal is one that should be within your means and the given time frame. It should also be within the physical capability of the human body. So for example, setting a goal of throwing 125 miles an hour isn't possible because the force that's exerted on the arm would literally tear the ligaments and musculature in your arm. Your goals should also be relevant. So each intermediary goal should be relevant to the overarching goal. This means that you need to select specific goals that are relevant to your development. Don't be lazy with this. Think about your weaknesses and select things that are going to be specific to you and your goal. You also want your goal to be time-bound. So how do you create a goal that's attainable and fits within your timeline? Well, there's a few ways that you can do this. One, you should consider how long it's taken your teammates or other athletes to achieve similar goals and or milestones. I recommend asking several people and using the average amount of time that it took them. And you can also make note of the range of time that it's taken them to achieve those goals so that you can be prepared to adjust your goals as you need. If you're still lacking information at that point, just Google it. It's a great resource. And if you're wondering how to do something, there's a good chance that of the hundreds of millions of people out there, one of them has asked that same question online. So thirdly, you want to consider how long it's taken you to do something similar in the past and how long and how much training you were doing. Albeit, this is not the greatest way to estimate how much time that it will take. So for example, let's think about throwing velocity. Going from 70 to 75 miles per hour is going to be much different than gaining 5 miles per hour at 85. There are greater requirements the better that you become. So after you set your SMART goals, you want to decide on how long you're going to take between revisions or updates. Start by thinking about how long it will take you to see the first sign of progress. After the first couple revisions, decide whether you want to check your progress more or less frequently. As I mentioned earlier, this is not a perfect process. It's important that you adjust your goals if it's taking longer than you think to achieve that goal. This may mean that adjusting your timeline, but it could also mean sitting down and thinking about how you can improve your process. Remember, we want to work smarter, not harder. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's video, we would really appreciate you liking and subscribing. And as always, don't forget to hit that bell icon to get notified when we release new content. Terminator out.